How about it? My guy Aaron Judge hit his 61st home run last night to join Roger Maris as the only American leaguers to ever accomplish the feat. And it comes 61 years after Maris hit 61 in 1961. Just awesome. What a scene with Roger Maris Jr., with Aaron Judge's mom. Look at Judge. Look at the smile on his face. And listen, this is a special number. 60 has always been extra special. Babe Ruth hitting 60, then Roger Maris, 61. We're talking about the tie for the league lead in the American League history, New York Yankee history, and Yankee history is obviously so great when you start talking about the galaxy of legends and superstars that have worn the pinstripes and the interlocking NY. You saw the joy and jubilation on Judge's face. 7 games without a homer after he got to 60. Pitchers weren't throwing him strikes. He was ripping the ones that were in the strike zone, but he was clearly pressing as everyone was just looking for that long ball. And that was just an awesome moment. So happy for Judge. He was able to celebrate with his teammates. Got that big hug from Aaron Boone. Yeah, I love that scene in the dugout with Giancarlo Stanton, the hug from Anthony Rizzo, this scene with his mom after the game. That was special stuff, giving her the baseball. This really is a season for the ages. When you think about the greatest seasons in the history of Major League Baseball, we are talking about Aaron Judge and what he accomplished after he turned down a contract. He's in a contract year. This is a season for the ages. He bet on himself. I told him to sign the deal, and he's first in every single category that matters. Oh, by the way, you can talk about the fact that he's played out of position in center field. He has done a great job stealing bases this year. First in average, first in homers, first in RBI. And listen, he's going to keep going. I expect him to hit 3 homers against the Orioles. I think he's going to hit home runs in Texas. I think he'll get a couple of days off in Texas as well, but this is a season for the ages. He's going to hit at least 65. Now, with all that said, I'm staying very consistent here. Yankee record ties that. American League record ties that. You look at the list in terms of single season, the home run leaders, Barry Bonds is at the top. You know why? Because he hit the most home runs. And I'm not burying my head in the sand when it comes to performance-enhancing drugs. I know this is even a bigger topic today because after the game last night, you had Roger Maris Jr. saying that baseball should put an asterisk next to those numbers. Please. You know, I remember when old Raj was there and Mark McGwire hit a mammoth home run and set the record at the time. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to asterisk next to any statistics. Don't tell me my era of baseball didn't happen, because then you open up Pandora's box in terms of taking away everything. It was a performance-enhancing drug era, okay? That's it. We all know about it, but the records, it's conversation. That's it. Barry Bonds is the single-season home run champ, the all-time career home run champ. There's no asterisk next to anything. And listen, Yankee record, American League record, doesn't take anything away from my guy Aaron Judge. That smile on his face last night, oh, I mean, just a gorgeous scene. I had the chills as a baseball fan and as a Yankee fan. Aaron Judge, number 61, special number in baseball and sports. You gotta love sports. Mike McDaniel knows the Miami Dolphins have a big-time challenge facing Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday Night Football in a few hours. Really a terrific matchup of quarterbacks and teams, and you could give me Joe Burrow over Tua Tagovailoa tonight on Thursday Night Football. And my guy Tua is off to an unbelievable start this year. Joe Burrow is a better quarterback. The quarterback advantage in this game tonight favors the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, what happened in week 1, week 2, let's also remember he had the appendectomy and didn't play in the preseason, didn't practice. You know, Cincinnati was a snap and a blocked extra point away from winning in week 1. at the end of regulation, and they lost on literally at the gun on the Maher 50-yard field goal week 2. So I know it's just the Jets, but they're back. Burrow's back. Chase is back. Higgins is back. Boyd is back. And I respect the hell out of Miami and the Miami defense, but I love this matchup for these guys, for Joe Mixon, for Joe Burrow, and obviously I respect Tua Tagovailoa. I created the Tua Tagovailoa bandwagon. I picked Miami to make the playoffs, but, it's a short week. That was a huge victory against Buffalo. A lot of energy, a lot of effort. Tua barely practiced this week with the back, with the ankle. Waddle's not 100%. You take a look at what's going on with Howard. He's not 100%. Tua Tagovailoa is absolutely going to put up a fight tonight. There's no question about that. But this game has the better quarterback and the better team. I'm still not giving up on the Bengals this year. I think that the better quarterback and the better team is going to win. Think Joe Burrow and Cincinnati 27, Tua Tagovailoa and Miami 20. Welcome back. Time to Schein. Thrilled to be joined by CBS Sports NFL analyst, my guy Charles Davis, who's going to be on the call for Sunday's big-time matchup between the Bills and the Ravens. And Charles, Lamar Jackson is off to an even better start than 2019 when he was a unanimous MVP. What makes him so special and, frankly, unstoppable?
Adam, we've seen everything that has made him who he is already and what made him the MVP in 2019. And by the way, that was unanimous in terms of the voting. So he had a season for the ages, but it's not like he fell off a cliff since that time. He had some injuries last year. Here's where I think he's improved. We all know all the physical gifts, that the big arm. We know about his ability to run like crazy. He's already had 2 1,000-yard seasons. I think he's matured as a quarterback, a player, all those things that go with it in terms of mastering the playbook, in terms of seeing the game in a bigger way, in terms of being there before other people can get there and in their thought process. My guess is that now when Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, calls something into his helmet, he's finishing the sentence before he can. I think that they're probably at that same spot. And I had a chance to talk with Greg Roman, the OC, and he told me that they've never put in more complex things than they are right now, because he's mastering everything. He's taking on even more. And that was the most complex game plan they had going into Miami 2 weeks ago, and it continues on from there. Last but not least, the school of thought was you better blitz him. If for nothing more than to try and hem him into the pocket so that he couldn't go out there and do those sorties that we're used to seeing that turn into 30, 40, 50, 70-yard runs. But now he's beating the blitz not just with his legs, he's beating it with his arm. You blitz him now, he's throwing daggers back at you. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions versus the blitz this year.
Pretty remarkable. I love that anecdote from your conversation with Greg Roman. That's great stuff. Meanwhile, Josh Allen, Charles, is on some kind of heater the last 6 times he's been on the football field. How would you describe what you've seen from Josh Allen?
Adam, I'm old enough to have read about, and I guess anyone can read, so duh, but my college coach, Johnny Majors, the drum himself, he was a single-wing tailback at Tennessee. And single-wing tailbacks were the guys who are our modern-day quarterbacks, and especially how we're playing now when so many guys are starting from shotgun all the time. They were the ones that got the snap. They were the ones who initiated play. They're the ones who ran the ball for the bulk of it. And when it was time to throw it, the single-wing tailback did the throwing. He also was a triple threat guy where he punt and kick as well. My point being, Josh Allen is our supersized 2022 single-wing tailback that people have not been able to truly solve. Because when he takes off and runs, what's that term there that's come into vogue? You got to make a business decision about taking him up because he's 245 pounds. So he can juke you, he can run over you, but of course he can stand in the pocket and throw it downfield. The accuracy question is no longer something we talk about. Remember, we talked about that coming out of the draft. That's way gone. We know all of those things. Plus, he's a competitor to the core. He and Lamar Jackson are both 2 quarterbacks that just hate to lose. And, oh, yeah, by the way, blitz him at your own peril as well. He is also destroying the blitz when it comes at him. We had Joe Burrow last week who takes blitzing as a personal insult. He'll take those hits and sting you. And you remember against the Jets what he did with Tyler Boyd on a 3rd and 9 when they all out blitzed him. This is what Josh Allen lives for. Lamar Jackson is living for it starting this year. This is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think they're both, one of them's a supersized. The other is more of a moderate size, but he's added 20 pounds. But these are single wing tailbacks to the nth degree. This is something that they didn't even see back in the day when the All-American players were single wing tailbacks. These guys have taken it to a place that no one ever thought of.
I'm obsessed with the way you phrased that. I love that answer. And you reference how Josh Allen doesn't like to lose. Buffalo had a really tough, emotional loss in Miami. Ken Dorsey went nuts, and frankly, I don't blame him. So, Charles, what's that mentality for the Buffalo Bills heading into Baltimore?
But real quick, Adam, can we talk about Ken Dorsey's meltdown?
Yeah.
Because I've got to tell you, I've got it on a loop. All right, I've seen it probably 125 times. I can't get enough of it, and actually sent it to my dad, who was a high school, college coach, my first coach, my basketball coach, high school football. You name it, he coached it. I sent it to him, and he called me like 4 hours later. He said, "I can't stop watching it." And I know that, yeah, we can go with the show your poise. And I'm sure the team teased him, after film and said, "Coach, you always talk about keeping your poise in tough situations and blah, 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 blah." But I think ultimately the team just loved it. This is a guy who's an uber competitor as well. He hates to lose. As Josh Allen says, don't ask him his college record. He'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
38-2. We were 38-2 when I was quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes, says Ken Dorsey. So all of that goes into it. So I'm sorry if I've forgotten the other part of your question, but watching what he did at the end of that game, when you said understandably, I think I'm not sure as to quite what the word you used, but I think we're melding it. Yes, because they had worked on those situations. Isaiah McKenzie doesn't get out of bounds. The clock runs out, and all they want is that one shot for Tyler Bass to win a ball game that, frankly, in a lot of ways, they should have won going away. All right. This isn't taking anything away from Miami. Nothing. Give Miami credit. They found a way. They fought. They won the football game. They took advantage of every opportunity. But when you run 90 plays on offense to the opponent's 39, when you control the clock for 40 minutes versus your opponent and only come away with 19 points, you got to look at red zone. 2 of 4 in the red zone. And there was one where Josh Allen had his receiver wide open. Mm-hmm. And one of the really bad throws you'll see him make, a total misfire. That's what happened with Buffalo. So fast forward it, all that heat, all those plays. I do think Sean McDermott had to do a little something different this week with his team to kind of bring them back, rest, recovery, get their legs back and their minds back, because you saw everyone collapse after that game on the field. You don't hop on a plane and come home. I think as Stephon Diggs said, he did 2 IVs at the same time. I mean, it was brutal out there. Let's see how they recover from that. I think that is something that bears watching on Sunday.
And Charles, you mentioned the heat and humidity and the IVs and recovering from that. Real quick, how concerned are you about the Bills' defense having all sorts of injuries?
I'm concerned about it in a big way. They plan and prepare for it. It's one thing for all of us to keep in mind now, Adam. When you see a person that comes up from the practice squad, in the old days when they came from the practice squad, he had to introduce himself to the teammates because he was really just running scout team. The practice squad now is essentially part of your roster. And coaches do a much better job of coaching those guys on that roster for these moments, just in case they have to play. Give them more reps, give them good coaching, bring them along, because the roster turnover is year to year as well. So you better make sure you have guys ready to play. So I think the Bills are very good at doing that in their organization. So yes, you're concerned, but you also know you've just got to go out and play. The bigger concern for them is the quarterbacks they've played so far have not been running quarterbacks. They're going to get a full dose of that this week.
Very much so. I can't wait for the game, Charles, and appreciate the time as always here on Time to Shine. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.